Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome back to the BoS reaction series, where we take the videos that you send to us and we react to them. And if you haven't seen the previous video, you can check that out on our YouTube channel, where we take different type of content, whether it's people talking about the Sikh faith, or in this case, we've got a movie and we give a reaction to it, trying to put a Sikh lens on that video that we're watching, basically.
So quite a classic film, the Matrix Trilogy.
Yep.
We're not going to renew the new one, only because it got bad reviews in cinema. But the original trilogy is what we want to focus on and we want to react to, because there's a lot of scenes in there and it's been spoken about before on the basis of Sikhi by Jagraj Singh, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Many, many years ago. And before we start going through the actual video, so what we've done is that we've taken clips from the first film, the second film and the third film, like the key points or like philosophical topics, right, that they talk about.
Yeah, so we've got key clips that we're going to react to and that we can do vichar on with a Sikhi lens.
And Gadavi Singh just put in some extra clips of like shooting and stuff because...
Yeah. So hopefully some fun stuff as well.
Kirpaji. So before we actually go through reacting to the different scenes that we have, Gadavi Singh, can you just give like a brief introduction into the Matrix for somebody who has no idea, like what is the Matrix?
Yeah, so the Matrix Trilogy, I think it's in 1999 is when it first came out. So it's a long time ago now. And it's basically about a dystopian future, or when AI, so artificial intelligence, is something coming up big now in current times, is in that time AI takes over the world and there's a big battle with humans and basically they conquer the earth. And what happens is they use the humans to power the machines. So they use the energy from humans from their thoughts. And what they do is to keep the humans in check, to keep them trapped. They put them in little pods and they run their minds through a simulation called the Matrix. So basically, it's like an illusion they've put over their minds.
Well, that sounds really crazy, but also very interesting and very cool. I've actually watched Matrix twice.
Yeah.
Once years ago when it first came out, and then actually recently it was recorded on my Skybox, so I thought I'd watch it again. So let's react to the first clip in the first movie of the Matrix. So what have you got here then, Gadavi Singh? That's some old computer screen. Wakey, wakey.
So he is actually a hacker in this world.
Okay. What? So somebody's talking to the computer.
Yeah. So right from the start, he has all these like little signals that Neo, wake up. The Matrix has you.
It's a bit freaky, isn't it?
Let me.
Yeah.
And this is clip number 2 now, right? So that's just kind of giving us setting a bit of the scene,
context,
right?
Yeah.
The context to what's going on. And then he meets this guy, right? Whose name is Morpheus.
Yeah. So this is quite an iconic scene now.
Tell you why you're here. You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there, like a splinter in your mind.
That's quite crazy, right? Because you hear a lot of times that people, they feel something or they realize that there's something missing in their life.
Yeah.
It just kind of reminds of like Japji Sahib, where Maharaji says, "Pukhya pukhno tarije banna puriya par," which is basically Guru Sahib is saying that this hunger inside you will never go away.
Yeah.
Pukhya, no. We're getting the pankti up for you guys at the same time. Je banna puriya par, that you can literally take all the items of the world and you can have all those and have the pleasures of those, but that hunger inside you never go away. And what he's kind of saying here is that, you have this feeling inside you like you're not complete. Kind of feels like he's saying that at this moment in time.
So let's carry on.
It is this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Matrix.
Do you want to know what it is?
So I guess with Neo, he's like a seeker, we could say, a spiritual seeker, if we put it in our terms.
Call it a Jagyasu. That's what it literally means.
Exactly. And I think what's really important is that, or what's really common, is that when there is someone who has a thirst for knowledge, then they will meet a guru when the time is right. And the guru will come to them and then give them the gyan that they need. But that's only when someone is actually really has that actual thirst,
Yeah.
Like most of the time we might be just semi-interested. We'll be like, oh yeah, that's nice. But then we'll be still enticed by the Maya and still want to live in the comfort of the world.
Yeah. It's kind of like that yearning, right? And then once somebody has that true yearning, then the guru, the spiritual enlightener, reveals himself to that person, which sounds like what's happening here with Neo, right?
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth.
So it's like an illusion there, right?
So exactly. So what can we relate this to Sikhi is the Maya, that this whole world around us that we're living in is like an illusion.
Yep.
What truth?
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison.
So this is literally like what Guru Sahib says to us in Gurbani when they say...
You're saying born into bondage, a prison for your mind.
Yeah. So like, ho vicha aya, ho vicha gaya. And that is pretty much the prison, is the ego, right? That we are slave to our own ego. It's even mentioned by Veer Singh Ji that we all have this ego, but we were meant to be the master of the ego. What's happened is that we've become the slave of the ego, and ho vicha aya, ho vicha gaya. And then also when it comes to the whole bondage stuff as well, Guru Sahib speaks to us in the same shabad, just in the next one after it. They say, home e bandhana, fere fere joni pahe. That we've come in this world with this ego, bandhana, and this has put us into bondage. Fere fere joni pahe, and we keep coming again and again. And later on in this film, they kind of talk about this cyclical theory as well, about coming again and again. So again, Guru Sahib is saying the same thing as well, that actually when we come in this world, we've come in bondage, and that is to do with the ego as well. So interesting.
And I think this is why this film is so famous, because at the time it was like quite groundbreaking for especially Western people when they started to delve into these kind of concepts.
Definitely.
And talk about like it's mostly like Sanatan Dharam, no? Like all this Puratan philosophy, mainly from Asia.
Yeah, mainly from the East, innit?
Mainly from the East, yeah.
Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself.
Even that is quite a crazy thing he said there, right? It's like when we talk about the Naam or things like that, Gurbani, experiencing Vaheguru, you can't it can't be explained with words, right? It's something you have to experience.
Definitely.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So that's very interesting, because he's given two options now, right? And I think if we just look at it personally in our lives, I think there'll come a time in our life where we'll be given two options, and we can either choose to stay in the illusion of this whole world, or we can choose to actually walk that path in alignment.
And there's also another aspect of there's two different paths. And one is an easy path of where we just take pleasure in the world. We stick to our comforts, we don't ever push ourselves and we don't want to break free. But then the hard part, which is the red pill in this case, is where we break free from the illusion. And I think people see that as sometimes difficult, so they would rather just stay in the illusion.
No, yeah, it's like the Shabad from Gurbani, Kanyo Tikhi Valoho Nikki Etamar Gajana, that this path, Kanyo Tikhi Valoho Nikki Etamar Gajana, it's a very hard path to walk, right? What's very interesting is the next line, right? Because it's a hard path to walk, but in one respect, he has to walk that path, but he's not on his own. He's kind of got somebody who's guiding him along the way. And that kind of links to the next line. Guru Prasadi Jini Aap Tajya Haravasana Samani. That's only through the Guru's grace, right? So again, we can't apply this specifically one respect because obviously this is Gurbani. But if you look at it through the movie, then you need somebody to guide you.
You need a guru, right? You need a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's quite prevalent in all dharms, no?
Yeah.
That's like the Maryada of the world, that you need a guru to come
Discipline,
and...
Maryada, discipline, yeah.
Exactly. You need a guru to come and awaken your mind, a teacher, a spiritual teacher. But then a very key thing is you need someone who's qualified.
Yeah.
You need a qualified teacher. Because if you don't have a Sampuran guru, then you won't be able to be freed from the world, right? They won't be able to give you the Sampuran teachings. So in this case, in this context of the Matrix, the guru is Morpheus, and he's already freed his mind from the Matrix.
Yeah.
And his purpose now is he's coming back into it, and he's trying to help other seekers free their minds.
And that thing about having a Puran guru, a true guru, a pure guru, it comes in Gurbani as well. Bina Satguru ke na payo, bina Satguru ke na payo. That without the one, nobody's ever obtained the Lord. It says it, but obtain the truth. Right? Become one, find that oneness without a true enlightener who's going to guide them. Somebody who's reached there, who's not blind, and they lead the blind to the truth as well.
Yeah, exactly. Let's carry on.
What's he gonna pick?
Imagine if you took the blue one.
The end of the film.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Maybe it's a paracetamol.
If only it was that easy, right? Just take a pill and
Well, it gets hard after this.
you get mukti.
Yeah, he's got to do all the work now, innit? You'll see throughout the movie.
Okay, so moving on to the next scene now. So he's taken the pill, and essentially that's awoken him from this illusion of the Matrix. And then let's carry on watching the scene.
Bit freaky, innit? So this is him being plugged in.
Yeah, into the machine mainframe.
We mentioned at the start. Actually.
And look, there's all the other humans. What I find interesting as well is the way that they've depicted this. So that tub is like a womb. So what essentially is happening is he's being reborn. He comes out of the womb again. But obviously in this case, the humans are being harvested. So he's literally coming out of that.
It's very interesting. And that also relates to another Shabad in Gurbani about this kind of rebirth as well. That, you know, when somebody's blessed with Amrit, it's seen as a rebirth as well, when they're kind of reborn again. And a very famous Shabad then is Satguru ke janame govern mitaya. That being born into the Guru's house now, then this reincarnation, this cycle is broken. Basically of literally just going through that life and death again and again, right? So he's having his rebirth.
Yeah, that you could say that's happened to Neo now. He's broken free from this cycle of the Matrix, and he's finally awoken into the real world.
Yep. Next clip.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
That's so interesting, isn't it? Because we have a similar concept in Sikhi about the Gyan Indriya, about our different senses we have, and are they really real or not?
Yeah, so you got your Gyan Indriya, then you got your Karam Indriya. So Gyan is like, for example, you have your eyes, and then Karam is the action of the eyes, which is to see. So what he's talking about there is like the electrical impulses or something like that he was saying. So even there's like a famous story of Siddhi Guru Nanak Dev Ji, when they met somebody called Rai Balad. And Rai Balad says that, well, if I'm not this mind, then I must be these senses then. I must be this eyes, ears, because, you know, that's how I experience the world.
Yeah.
Right? And what Guru said is that, what about somebody who is blind then? What does that mean for that person then? If somebody cannot hear, what does that mean? Does that mean that person's not living? If they can't speak, if they can't smell, so like, interesting, if you had COVID, then you lost your senses, right? You lost your smell and your taste, which is two of the senses, right? Well, what does that mean for that person, right? So it means that we're more than these things, because not everybody has them, or we could even lose them. So we can't actually say that that is life.
So what is the true identity then? Because if it's not our senses, if it's not, we're not a collection of thoughts, or we're not our mind, then what is our true form? That's
when they say it's the Atma, right? It's the soul, right? Which is indestructible, which is like a conscious form, conscious being, we say, Chetan Sroop, and also the form of bliss. So that is our true form. All this other stuff are based, they're just layers,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
In the illusion.
In the illusion, yeah.
Yeah.
And we think we are those.
Yeah.
So that's the illusion, right? We think we are these eyes, like Morpheus is saying when I Neo, but we're not really those.
I think that's what's so good about this film is it illustrates that in such a way, such a good way. It depicts all these different things, concepts.
In a cool scene as well.
This is the world that you know.
I've always said this is remote control.
The world as it was at the end of the 20th century.
This could be our future now.
It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo.
That's so crazy that they say living in a dream world, because that comes exactly in Gurbani, right?
Definitely. It's in Sulut Mulanava. So Jo Supana Arapekana comes on the screen. Yeah. So Aise Jagago Jan, that see this world literally as a dream. Like a big show, you could say. Arapek Supana means dream, Arapekana means to see, Aise Jagago Jan means to see the world like this. So Hanji, very similar. Enime Kachasacho Nahi Nanak bin Bhagavan. And the Guru saying that all of this stuff that we see, don't see it as the truth. Just like how Morpheus said earlier, what is true and what is not true, right? That without that one, that is the complete source of everything. Everything else is false, where we've been caught in the illusion. So it's kind of just reiterating this message where, you know, Morpheus is giving all these types of teachings to Neo, kind of like how Guru Sahib reiterates to us a lot of times in Gurbani, these same messages again and again. There's a lot of these kind of messages in Gurbani.
And the thing is, the reason why he is saying it so much, and we say it so much, we hear it so much in Gurbani, is because we've been living in this simulation, you could say, or this illusion for so long. Our minds will reject anything else. If we're told the truth, it'll be hard for our minds to accept it. So that's why Guru Sahib Ji tells us again and again, because it's quite a long process to break you out that conditioning, right, of the world.
I think people, in ourselves, we might be in denial for a very long time. So especially when you get to a stage where you're very confused, if you're very lost, that's almost a blessing, right? Because that's when you seek the truth, and then the truth presents itself in front of you.
Exactly, yeah.
As it exists today.
Wow.
It's very different. Spooky.
That's very interesting as well, because it could be a call out to humans now who aren't caring for the environment, right? Shout out to the Mr. Beast video.
There you go. No, fair point. Definitely. We don't know what we're doing to this planet, right?
I think even in this film, they say how humans scorched the earth.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting that like they had this kind of thinking 20 years ago, and we're only realizing it now.
And we still build a lot of AI.
And we're still doing all these.
No disrespect to people who like technology.
Yeah.
But you know, all the films like Terminator and stuff don't really paint a good picture, innit?
The Skynet.
Skynet, yeah.
About combat.
I really like this scene. So now Neo's woken up from the Matrix, and he's met with other crew members of Morpheus' ship, and they're introducing him to all the new like cool gadgets and stuff. And they're like, we're gonna put you through a training program now, but let's see what happens.
Jiu-jitsu. I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu.
Cheat codes.
Imagine it was this easy, right?
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Hey, Mikey, I think he likes it. How about some more? Hell yes.
What's really interesting is that, like, you know, it goes back to the whole nature nurture thing, where we may think that we're born and then we have to learn everything from the start.
Yeah.
But you get some people that are born that are just naturally more angry than other people. A lot of times, if you read a lot of like Bharat and Grunts, they'll talk about how it's to do with your Pishle Janam.
Yeah.
So you could be a very angry person in your previous life. So it's the whole idea of karma, right? That somebody could be a great singer, they could be a great warrior.
No, it's not only emotions, it's skills as well, right?
Yeah.
So like people, it's commonly said, if someone's very good at reading Gurbani, it's because they might have done a lot of abhyas of it in their previous life.
100%.
A lot of practice of it.
Same when it comes to these kind of skills as well, right? That you could have already had them from your previous life. But another point here is that in terms of like cheat codes, I think for Sikh, one kind of quote unquote, I say very loosely, cheat code is ardas, is asking from the Guru and getting the Guru's blessings. Maybe not cheat code, maybe more like a shortcut. For example, like by Bajitra Singh Ji, who fought against a must hathi, intoxicated elephant, Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj Ji gave him those blessings to fight against the elephant. And Baba Bajitra Singh Ji in history is known to be quite small, not a very tall figure. Maybe doesn't look that physically strong, but they fought against an intoxicated elephant that used to break down fortresses and then the enemies could invade. But with the blessings of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they were able to fight the elephant and send it back in the other direction. So they've got their computer. For us, I guess we have Ardas, we have the Guru's blessings, where we could gain certain things much quicker. And not to ramble on, but even like, for example, learning Gurbani, like you were just saying before, you could even go to Likhansar Sahib, which is at Siddhi Damdama Sahib, and they say that very long Maryada, like the rules of what you need to do, but practice, sorry. But if you were to go there and to write the 35 letters in the sand, that is the 35 letters of the Gurumukhi alphabet, and do a ardas, a humble plea to the Guru, then it says that it'll help that Sikh with the recitation of the Guru's words, Gurbani. So we have these kind of, again I say loosely, cheat codes or shortcuts as well within Sikhi as well.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Drunk unboxing. That's an interesting one.
You not heard of that?
No.
It's quite famous.
Really? Is it just when people are drunk and they just start boxing?
It's a form of boxing where they like fake being drunk. So all of their moves are like from drunken stances and stuff.
Yeah.
Quite interesting, yeah.
No way. I thought they're just having a bit of a joke.
No.
Dre. He's a machine.
He's like downloading all this knowledge into his head.
I know Kung Fu.
Imagine waking up saying that.
Show me.
This is a sparring program, similar to the programmed reality of the Matrix.
It has the same basic rules, rules like gravity. What you must learn is that these rules are no different than the rules of a computer system. Some of them can be bent, others can be broken. Understand? Then hit me, if you can.
It's a cool fight scene. It's the first one of the film, I think, isn't it? Like action scene.
Yeah,
guess,
I
isn't
think
it?
so.
Nice.
So even though he's got the knowledge, he still hasn't got the implementation yet.
How did I beat you?
Just rubbing it in, innit? You kicked me.
You're too fast. Do you believe that my being stronger or faster has anything to do with my muscles in this place? You think that's air you're breathing now?
That's so cool, isn't it, when he says that? Because Neo realizes that this is just a simulation. So how can it be real air he's breathing? It's all in the mind. So it's quite a good testament to like putting limits on our mind. And
Definitely. Try it again.
What are you waiting for? You're faster than this.
So
Don't
look,
think you are. Know you are.
that's quite interesting line. Don't think you are, know you are. And I think it relates to a concept of Sravan, Manan, and Nidyasan. So sometimes we hear stuff and we manna it, we accept it, but then we don't actually implement it or instill it inside of us. And so that's what Morpheus is trying to kind of say here. He's saying, even though you don't think, know, you know? So actually instill it and implement it.
Hanji.
And I think that's what that's why he's such a good like guru, such a good teacher, because he's slowly building up Neo and awakening his mind to the potential there is.
I know what you're trying to do.
I'm trying to free your mind, Neo. But I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it.
That's really cool as well, right?
Yeah, because you have to put a bit of effort right at the start.
Definitely. That whole idea of the apana hati apana ape hi kaj sawari hai, that it's Guru Sahib says at the same time that it's actually in your hands. Apana hati. So it comes in Guru Bani as well. Like with your own hands, let's resolve our own affairs. So the Guru can show us the door, they can show us the truth, but then it's up to us if we walk through that door. And it comes back to that whole, is it hukum, is it free will? But generally at the start, we, as Guru Arjan Dev Ji says himself, is that the Sikh has to do the actions, right? Sikhs are doers, right? We have to do. So definitely they can show us the door, they can show us the truth, but then it's kind of like that thing at the start about the red pill and the blue pill, right?
Yeah.
They put the two options out for them. Now it's up to us which door we're going to walk through, which pill we're going to take, which you can pretty much see here as well.
And I think the amazing thing with Gurbani is it talks to us at every different level, every different avastha, talks to everyone, right? So like if you're at the beginning of avastha, like me basically, we would see this pankti and it means that we have to put in effort.
Yeah.
That you have to, because we're not at the avastha yet to understand everything is hukum.
Yes.
Right? But then as you build yourself up, as you do the spirituality stuff, as you get closer to Guru Sahib, and once you become the one, you realize all of that stuff was in hukum. That was all Vaheguru was doing, right?
And I think you spoke about this on one of the days when we were driving together. Just the idea of hukum and free will, God's order and free will, is two. So it's duality, right? We have two there, but we're here to become one. So oneness. So it's like you're never going to understand. This is what I personally feel that when we had that conversation, that we will never understand that concept because it's a concept of duality, that we see a difference between us and God. We see free will as us and God's will as God.
I think Bhai Jagraj Singh said it in one of his talks that our perception of free will is wrong because in reality, what are we? Our true form is Vaheguru, is Atma Paramatma, right? So
the soul and the supreme soul.
The soul is Vaheguru. So if we are Vaheguru, then we are living in hukum. We are the hukum, right? So therefore there is no I or me.
Yeah.
But then what we do is we separate ourselves and say me, I have my own will. I do this, I do that, right?
Yeah.
But then in reality, that's not the truth. The truth is we are Vaheguru, we are one. And that's reiterated throughout this whole film. They keep on telling Neo, you are the one, you are the one. Why do they keep on saying that?
Yeah. Very interesting.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear,
Let it go.
doubt, and disbelief.
Sorry, too many bad commentaries.
Your mind.
It's so cool.
Saying the same thing again about free your mind.
Free your mind, let go of your doubts.
Free my mind.
Disclaimer, don't try this at home.
Free your mind.
He didn't free it enough, did he?
That's lucky.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
They expected him to make it, right?
Yeah, because they think he's the chosen one at this time, innit?
Right, friend?
And he just said that everybody falls the first time.
That's interesting, right?
Definitely important. Just we'd have to look at it in detail, but behind a lot of successful people, even success, there's been a lot of failure. But I guess maybe even that way you're looking at it, it's not actually failure. It's just getting you to this stage.
Well, it's like in the podcast we did recently with Rohan Singh, we were talking about how the spiritual journey isn't always linear, right?
Yeah.
We always expect it to go in a diagonal line straight up.
Yeah.
But actually, no, it's not like that. You have ups and downs, and it's okay to fail, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, everyone had the expectation, oh, he must be the one. He isn't the one yet. He's still realizing his truth.
Definitely.
So that's why he did fail. And maybe sometimes on the spiritual journey, you are going to fail, right? But you shouldn't just give up. And that just means you should try harder next time.
It's a bit off topic, but it kind of links like how we make these videos and stuff. Remember when we used to first make videos like 2 years ago, before lockdown? It's been like 2.5 years since we made videos together, first videos. And the first ones that we made, none of them came out. Do you get me? We recorded a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And, in one respect, you could put that down to, we failed to record the video or properly to the right standard. But actually, I look at it as we needed to go through that to get us to where we are today, making the types of content that we're blessed to make, right? Especially the kind of short skits we make on basis of Sikhi. So, you know, this whole thing about failure, maybe don't look at it as failure, look at it as part of the process, like the grind, innit? To get us to get you to where you need to get to.
You can only learn by making mistakes.
Definitely.
Right? No one's perfect. There's a pankti in Gurbani that pullan andar sabko apul guru kartar, which means that everyone makes mistakes, and we are just humans, so we are going to be fallible. But only Guru Sahib Ji and Vaheguru are the creator, kartar, are infallible, which means they can't make mistakes.
Hanji, definitely.
The Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. But when you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters.
He's basically explaining this world.
You're trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy. You have to understand, most of these people are not ready to be unplugged. And many of them are so inert, so hopelessly dependent on the system, that they will fight to protect it. Were you listening to me, Neo? Or were you looking at the woman in the red dress?
I was.
Look again.
That's quite funny.
Yeah.
That's we can relate that to in how humans are, how we are in this world. We get so distracted by the Panj Vikar, right?
Very quickly.
And he's saying that another good point that Morpheus made is that a lot of the people in the world, they aren't ready to be free. So they aren't ready for the Gyan.
It kind of reminds me of this Shaud from Siri Sukhmani Sahib, Oratare Jo Antaranam Sadame Peke Bhagavan, the one who enshrines God's name inside their heart. They see God in everyone. And they say that, you know, each and every moment, they always remember Vaheguruji and they worship them. But also they say that that person is a touch nothing saint, which is a very, just, they're untouchable. So they're not affected by these vices. So like kind of like how with Neo there, he looked at the woman because he was obviously engrossed with her look at the time, right? That he lost all consciousness of everything else. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji in Sukhmani Sahib was saying that you get certain beings who are untouched by these things. So they wouldn't see a difference between looking at her or looking at the rest of people that kind of blend into society.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when he looked again, then it was the agent, innit?
Yeah.
So, you know, it was, what I just picked up there is like, it's almost like it's a warning.
So yeah.
Like that's going to lead to your demise just by doing that. So there's two things here. I'll kind of switch another Shabad. It comes in Gurbani's He Kamung, Naraka Bisaramung, Boho Joni, Paramavana hai. They say, oh, Kamung, which is desire, but sexual desires it can mean as well, that you lead people to a horrible death, which is kind of like the way he looked at the woman. And when he looked back again, what was it really? It
was danger. He's about to get shot.
Exactly. And the other show we just went through beforehand about the Ortare Jo Antaranama, when the Ashtapadi starts, so that's the Salok, right? The Mithya Nahi Rasana Padasa, they talk with that person who's beyond these things, right? And they say here, Partare Rupana Pekhe Netra, that with their eyes, they do not gaze upon the beauty of another person's woman, right? So for 99% of the world, we are all stuck in this, right? And we don't know that it's illusion, and that's what you're seeing on the screen right now is basically what it ends with, right? So I've probably taken that really far, but it's quite cool when you kind of look at that kind of concept.
Do we have a deal, Mr.
And also another point we can make is the agents are represented as like the Panj Vikar. So Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Hankar. And their purpose in this matrix, in this illusion, is to keep you trapped into the illusion.
Yeah.
So that's why they keep on coming, and they're trying to stop the people who are breaking everyone free. They're trying to stop Morpheus and Neo, because essentially what Morpheus is doing is he's giving people the light, right? He's giving them the Gyan in order to break free from this, and the agents don't want that. So their purpose is to stop them.
Yeah.
So we can take that as an analogy of the Panj Vikar.
Definitely.
You know, I know this steak doesn't exist. I know that when I put it in my mouth, the Matrix is telling my brain that it is juicy and delicious. After 9 years,
It's one of my favorite
you know
scenes.
what I realize? Ignorance is bliss.
So that's quite cool, isn't it? When they've included something like this.
Yeah.
Even though they're on one side, there's people who are trying to break free from the Matrix. On the other side, there's people who have been shown the truth, who know the knowledge, but yet they still choose ignorance. They still choose the Maya.
100%. And there's a Shabad in Siddhi Anand Sahib as well that talks about this. Ehe Maya Mohani Jina Eta Paramupalaya. They said that this Maya, this whole kind of illusion that we're stuck in, is so Mohani, so enticing, right? So fascinating. Jina Eta Paramupalaya, that's made many people wander around in doubt. And that's crazy because, you know, a lot of times in our life, we know something is right, but for some reason, we just can't follow it.
Yeah.
Right? And we stay stuck in the illusion because it's so easy to, like, I think one of the most easiest one is like somebody who suffers with lustful thoughts, and they even take it further and they act upon those thoughts. They know it's wrong, but they can't stop themselves, or they're so in love with it. Or even easier one in one respect is attachment. We know we shouldn't be attached to people or to our emotions, but we can't help it, right? And I guess certain people, like on this level, they've gone to such a state where they've become so engrossed in it. They're so engrossed in it that they actually love it and they want to be a part of it. Like I remember one person that I heard about, like he's happy to come back again and earn money. That's success. Do you know what I mean? Innit? But to realize that is the root cause of our pain. But some people are so attached to this creation that.
And then there's another punkti which comes to mind about Gur Raja, Gur Parja.
Gur Sab Sansar.
That false is a king, false is the subjects, false is the whole world. So in this case, he knows that the steak is false. He knows the taste is false. It's all a simulation. It's all in his mind. But yet he still thinks of that as a beauty, and he still wants that pleasure, that comfort.
Definitely. It's just this whole Shabad where Guru Sahib talks about these kind of things. And what's interesting is that it looks like, look at this Gur Mittha. That's pretty much very similar to what they're talking about, right?
Yeah. The tastes.
And what's very thought-provoking in this Shabad is this line here. Kise naal kiche dosti sab jaga chalna nahar. That who should I become friends with? Everybody's going to go. Even that steak that he's eating, it's going to go, right? Everything. So again, very thought-provoking. When I watched this, I thought this is a really interesting scene.
Yeah.
Because the first I watched, I wasn't into Sikhi. The second time I was like, whoa, this is crazy, man. And sorry, if you know that scene, it's interesting because afterwards, I feel you've cut it out, but he says that I want to forget.
Oh, yes.
He says that I want to forget that.
So to give context to the film, he's making a deal with the agents.
He's backstabbed.
To backstab Morpheus and Neo.
Yeah.
So he's gonna get Morpheus captured by the agents so that they can get the codes to Zion, which is like the last city of humans on Earth.
And he's saying to them that I'll give you everything, but I want you guys to give me this whole illusion. I want to be a part of it and have everything, but I don't want to know it is an illusion.
He says, I want to forget everything.
Yeah. I'm being fully engrossed in it. That's crazy. So you know it's false. It's like knowing that you're in a dream and you're saying to yourself in the dream that I want to stay in this dream forever and never wake up again and realize the reality.
But what is wrong with that though?
Because it's again, it's not a true form. It's not a true state. It's the form of dukh. It's the form of pain, right? So we're almost asking for pain. It's like it comes in Gurbani, the Shabad, Vinato de hore je mangana, sir dukha ke dukh. That to ask for anything else but you is the cause of pain, all of our pain that we have, right? But we don't seem to realize that. And I think it gets to a point where we keep getting a lot of pain to a state where it's called Vairag, which is this idea of detachment, that we end up becoming detached from the world because we realize that actually, you know what, this is all false and this is just everything just gives me dukh. So what is the one thing that's going to give me sukh, happiness, peace? And that is that oneness.
And I think in the moment, you don't realize that these pleasures and sukhs are just temporary and that these things will go. And eventually you're always going to be chasing for the next, like comfort, for the next thing. But that cycle is endless.
Yeah.
You can always be searching. You can be someone who's searching for travel. You can travel the world, right? To try and experience new experiences. But still, all of those things, like in the Shabad before, all of these things are false and they won't ever fulfill that feeling inside of you, that emptiness inside of you. And the only thing that can fulfill that emptiness is realizing your true form, realizing your identity, and connecting to the one.
And just to echo what you're saying about traveling, Gurbani resonates a lot with these kind of feelings that we have, or whatever we speak about. That you have searched the four corners, but there's nobody as great as you. There's no greater experience than the experience of you. So, Gurbani speaks about this a lot, basically.
Mm-hmm. And moving on to the next scene, this is quite a cool scene now.
My man got a spoon, man. He's got a chamcha. Oh, he's bending it as well. It's a good scene.
Yeah.
It's a good scene.
Very interesting.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
It's only yourself.
Yeah. So once you realize that there is no spoon, so there is an illusion, then what will change, what will bend is your mind. Essentially saying your mind will realize the truth.
So it's the idea of that, it's the introspection, right?
Yeah.
That we're so focused on the outside, looking at the spoon. So the way I kind of took down myself, I made some notes of what they were saying as well, is that it's not the spoon that bends, it's impossible. So in one way, I think a lot of the things that we see on the outside, a lot of times we look outside externally and we're trying to change stuff to gain happiness from the outside. If an outer circumstance changes, then we think that is going to be that's going to give us the happiness that we've been seeking, right? But he's saying that it's not the spoon that bends. You have to bend yourself, like you're saying, you have to change yourself, change your soch, change the way that you're thinking. And there's two ways we can take this. There's the Gurbani Panktiya, which is like a Kada Sukhavasya. Sukhavasya Bahara Sukhapaya. Right? That if you find peace in your own home, then you'll find peace on the outside. But the other Shabad is Jo Brahmande Soi Pinde. That what you're looking for on the outside is all inside you. Jo Brahmande Soi Pinde Papa, no Papa. Jo Koje So Pave. That what you're looking for is actually inside you. So Gurbani talks about this idea of introspection, that you're going to find that peace inside you. Stop trying to change the world, change yourself, and then the world will change because of the lens that you see circumstances in the world through, things that you're not happy with, not content with. And I think another kind of analogy that goes with this is the idea of let's imagine a boat. If a boat has a storm, if you're at sea and you've got all this water around you, that boat's going to still travel through the horrible storms, right? But if the water comes upon the boat, that is going to cause the boat to drown.
Yeah,
right? To sink. So in the same way, if we let all these external factors get into us and we drown in those mentally, then that leads to our demise.
Yeah.
Then we drown. But otherwise, we can sail across. We can ride the waves, as they say, right? So
and I think another punkti which comes to mind is the Bande Khoj Dil Har Roj, that search your own heart, basically. Do introspection every day.
Yeah.
And that's the way to na fir paresani mahe. That's the way to not wander around in confusion.
Hanji. And just one last thing that I found in another Granth, I just noted it down on my laptop as well, which is really cool, is this idea of that, is that Jaisi Dristi, Taisi Dristi, Sristi, sorry. Jaisi Dristi means that wherever lens you look at the world in, that's how you're going to see the world. So if you have a very negative outlet in life, then you're just going to see a lot of negativity in the world, which a lot of us can fall into. And another thing which is really interesting that I've read in a Granth called Vicharamala is Apana Chit Durusapayo Para Avaguna Darasant, which means that, if somebody's filled with Apana Chit Durusapayo, Durushe means this idea of having negativity, Buddha, bad thoughts, then they're saying Para Avaguna Durasanta, that they're just going to see negativity throughout the whole world. So what we feel inside is we're going to reflect on the outside, how we're going to see the world as well, right? So it's very interesting, that kind of concept as well, right?
So there's so many teachings from this one scene,
so
right?
Many, and it's a little kid giving it as well, which is even cooler. Should we carry on? So it's not about the spoon, it's about him. He has to change, innit?
Him realizing that the spoon is an illusion of Maya.
Will see you now. And don't worry about the vase.
What vase?
That vase.
So she's the oracle, right?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I said don't worry about it. I'll get one of my kids to fix it.
How did you know?
Oh. What's really going to bake your noodle later on is, would you still have broken it if I hadn't said anything?
That's some deep stuff, man.
Yeah, so the oracle is meant to be like all-knowing, right? Or like she can predict the future or see the future.
Yeah.
So essentially, she told Neo, "Don't worry about the vase," but because she told him, he turned and knocked the vase over. So it's like created a little bit of a paradox.
To me, it just sounds like action and reaction. That every action has a reaction.
Yeah.
So whatever action you decide to take is going to lead to that specific reaction. I think maybe for the oracle, she's got to a stage where she knows the action that she does, what reaction it's going to give.
Yeah.
If you get what I mean. So at that kind of spiritual level, like you're saying, that she's like a divine being in this movie, right?
In this context, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Do you think you are the one?
Honestly, I don't know.
So he's still having doubts at this point. He doesn't realize he is truly the one.
You know what that means? It's Latin. Means know thyself. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. Being the one is just like being in love. No one can tell you you're in love, you just know it. Through and through.
So for me, that's the whole experience stuff, right? It's not something they can speak about. It's something they have to kind of live. So like if you look in Japji side, for example, they say, manne ki gat kahi na jai. That somebody who has accepted, who knows, manne ki gat kahi na jai. Whether that's somebody else trying to speak about them or that self who's experienced it, that state of becoming faithful and knowing, kahi na jai. It cannot be explained, right? Jeko kahe, piche pachta. If they try to, they're going to regret it. It's only something they can experience, or that goes with the gunge ki mithiyai. That the one who's tasted it, only they know, right? So that's kind of what comes to our mind, what she's saying. That I guess it's the whole love thing as well. When somebody's in love, they can't really put those into words. Right?
And it goes back to the whole Manan and Nidyasan thing, that at this point Neo is still trying to implement it, instill it in himself that he is the one, right? He doesn't know it fully yet.
Yeah. So Sadavan, like Vijay said earlier, means to listen very simply. Mandan means to accept, and Nidyasan means to do, to actually follow the action continuously again and again, basically.
Have you ever stood and stared at it, marveled at its beauty,
Like agents as well.
genius? Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious.
Did you know that the
I
first
think that's so interesting as well, when he said that we look at the whole world and we might sometimes think, oh, this is quite nice, isn't it? The world looks quite beautiful.
Yeah.
But then in reality, it's just an illusion. Again, this is the main theme of this film. They keep on saying it's an illusion. The people are oblivious to the reality. Billions of people are living out their lives without realizing they're trapped in this cycle.
And a shabad that comes to mind, very similar to the one about the dream earlier, is this one, Jagarachana sab jhoot hai, jaan le ho re meet. That this whole world is false that we see around us, right? Notice, my friend, kahe nanak thir na rahe jo balu ki peet. That it's just like a wall of sand that we think it's real, but it's not going to stay. Just like our child will just knock it down straight away, right? And just another one that kind of goes with that. I know I'm just trying to just chucking all these lines from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, but this is another one that's quite interesting as well. I think it's by 9th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi preet. Sure, it's a 9th Guru, yeah. Dev Gandhari Mahalla Nava. That this whole world that I'm looking at, dekhi, Jagat mein, that I'm seeing, jhoothi, it's false, and the love of this world is all false as well. The 9th Guru saying, speaking from a place of detachment, as we call Vairag in Punjabi Gurumukhi. Hanji.
So in this scene, it's a bit later on in the film,
Yeah.
and Morpheus has been captured by the agents.
And he got captured because of that guy who's in the beef, innit?
Yeah, because the guy who's eating the steak, he's betrayed him.
Yeah.
So now they're trying to extract this information from Morpheus.
Matrix was designed to be a perfect human world where none suffered, where everyone would be happy. It was a disaster. No one would accept the program. Entire crops were lost. Some believed that we lacked the programming language to describe your perfect world, but I believe that as a species, human beings define their reality through misery and suffering.
It's quite interesting what he's saying, because in the first form of the Matrix, so they said that there's been multiple forms of this Matrix.
Yeah.
The first iteration, the machines created it so that it was like a paradise, right? So everything was happy for the humans. But then all the humans, most of them didn't accept that. And why didn't they accept that?
Why not? I don't know.
Because it's part of human nature to have misery and suffering. And without having that misery and suffering, you won't understand or you won't comprehend what Sukh is.
You wouldn't even appreciate it, I guess, innit?
Yeah, you wouldn't appreciate it.
That's really interesting. I guess it goes back to that point about, like going beyond happiness and sadness, right? Because I think everybody just gets caught up in just being at this high all the time, right? And then we have lows in our life and everybody wants to be here. But the Gurus take us beyond that to a state known as Sahaj, where it's not about the state you're in the world, happiness, sadness. It's about being in this one state where you're not affected by either.
Yep.
Right? You're untouchable. You're satir. You're grounded, basically, right? So that's really interesting.
The dream that your primitive cerebrum kept trying to wake up from.
And sorry, just to elaborate on that, it's like the Japji Sahib, because that might not make a lot of sense. Like Etiya Dukha Pukha Sadamad. So what's interesting about Gurbani is that they don't look at sadness or pain as a negative. So look at this. You may endure a lot of just English distress, deprivation, and constant abuse. But this is all your gift, right? Or like the other Shabad, Je sukha dehe ta tujhe hai aradi. That if you give me happiness, I'll worship you. Dukh pi tujhe tiyai. Right? That if you give me pain, I'll still meditate upon you. Je pukha dehe ta itehi raja. Dukh vich sukh manai. You can read the translation yourself, but you get the idea, right? It's going beyond the two. And for us in life, we need pain. Because like, again, sorry, another Shabad.
We need it to grow, right?
Yeah, Diva mera ek naam.
Dukh vich paya dil.
Right? You know what I mean? There's the pain is the fuel to light that diva, that lamp of meditation, of oneness with that one, right? So, these concepts come throughout Gurbani a lot as well.
Matrix was redesigned to this, the peak of your civilization.
So another point he said at the end of that clip was the humans, they didn't accept it and they kept on trying to wake up from the paradise because they couldn't accept this is the truth. They couldn't accept this is the reality. So what's interesting is even if we're given all the comforts in the world, even if we're given all the sukhs in the world, we still won't be able to accept it.
Wow.
And eventually we want to wake up from that because we won't ever fulfill that true happiness, that true sukh you get from Vaheguru, right?
And that goes back to the start of the video about the Pukya Pukanotri that we talked about. I could put the shoved up again quickly, but you literally just hit the nail on the head, VG, about that, because you could go through a life of having all these, these great things, family, home, and on the outside you've achieved everything they told you need to achieve to be happy, but you're not happy. So it's basically that.
Yeah. That
they've given them everything, but it wasn't that one thing that we needed to give up to kind of to complete us. And that is the one, right? So
another pankti that comes to mind is about contentment.
Yeah.
Bina santokh nahi ko raja. That without contentment, you won't ever be fulfilled. You won't ever be satisfied.
And look at the next line. Everyone is asleep in this dream, and all the efforts and actions that they do, it all passes in vain, right? And the next line links says, Naam rang sarb sukh hoye. The one thing that we were looking for is this naam. This is what's going to give us happiness, right? But the pagi ke se praput hoye. But how rare is that person who finds it? Just got to follow sukri side. What's the reaction says to sukri side?
So it's all about connecting to the source, right?
Yeah.
Connecting to the truth. And that's what in this film, in the context of this film, Neo is trying to do. He's trying to connect to the source, connect to his oneness.
You just put this in for fun, innit?
This is quite cool when he shoots the.
Trinity!
It's getting scared.
Help!
This is the famous bullet time.
You said they made this just for the film, right? Or something like that?
Yeah, it was like really good. It was like a new technology that they invented just for this scene.
Wow.
Called the bullet time technique, which is when they do this whole slow motion and going around the object.
That's
It's
really
quite cool. And now we're at the end of the film, and Neo finally gets caught by the agents, and they basically shoot him.
Basically kill him, innit?
Yeah, they kill him.
So if you've not watched it, it kind of ruined the film for you.
Spoiler alert.
So watch the film. It's a good film.
I remember this was quite a shock to people. He's like the main actor, the main character, and he dies.
Yeah. Well, there's a 2 and 3 and a 4, so you know he lived. Marika, he's gone.
They're all in disbelief. The Panj Vikar, they think they've won. Innit?
Check him. He's gone.
Oh, I got it right as well, man. I'm also one with the Matrix.
Goodbye, Mr. Anderson.
Why go to Jeep Khalsa?
Now get up.
So what happens there? Did she bring him back to him?
Yeah, so what happens is the love of Trinity.
Who's that lady, the Bibi there, yeah?
That Bibi who we could relate to as, in this analogy, is like the Sad Sangat for Neo. That she always brings Neo back onto the path. Whenever Neo is about to fail, she always pushes him into the right direction. And in the same way, we have Sad Sangat. That when we are with that Sad Sangat, it doesn't matter what the Panj Vikar do to us, we will be protected. And there's a panktiya about that, right?
So the one that came to my mind, unless you have another one, is the Sad Sangat Bina.
Oh, nahi upajha.
Without Sad Sangat, we cannot have love. Having that good company, if you dumb it down in that respect, then path bina pagat no hoi teri, that we cannot truly have love and devotion for that one. So definitely throughout the films, Trinity is that support for Neo, and we all need a support in our life. And Sangat, your company, Sad Sangat, is literally one other person. So ik Sikh doi Sad Sang. Panji Paramesar. So literally one Sikh on their own, a spiritual seeker, is just a Sikh. But 2 of them together is, as we know here, as Sad Sangat, Holy Congregation. So that's literally what Trinity was for Neo in the films.
And I guess in this scene, she, with her love, brought Neo back to life, essentially. But the cool thing is, this is the actual scene where Neo breaks all the rules of the Matrix because he's essentially reborn. This is like his second rebirth.
Oh my gosh.
So his first one, he was freed from the Matrix, and now he's freed his mind as well.
Yeah, definitely. Cool way of looking at it. Sick. Now he doesn't have to bend down in it anymore. He just stops the bullets.
Yeah. So he's like hacked the Matrix.
He's basically conquered the Matrix, isn't it? In that respect.
So there's a shout out to the mindset series, right? Like if you conquer your mind, you conquer the world.
Conquer the world. You conquer all the bullets of the world as well. Disclaimer, don't try this either. You gotta be careful in today's world, isn't it?
How? He is the one.
Hit the dom number 1.
So he's truly become the one now.
He's become the one.
Do you know what's also really cool about this scene is now he's become the one. He's realized his true self. He's connected to the source, and he sees the whole Matrix as the reality it really is. So he sees all of the code of the Matrix. So essentially, like what we're saying is, when you become one with Vaheguru, you will see the light, the true light in everyone, right? And you'll see the reality of the Maya.
Do you have a Shabad for that?
I think there is a Shabad. Is it Sab mein jyot jyot hai soi?
Yeah, so to see that light inside everyone.
So there is a Shabad, Sab mein jyot jyot hai soi.
Hanji.
So he's essentially seeing the light in every being, right?
Seeing them for what they truly are. A code in this case.
And now it's so easy for him to defeat the agents. He can do it with one arm. Quite a cool scene.
Now he's just showing off, isn't it?
So that's the end of part 1.
Yeah, so that's the end of movie 1, right?
Yeah.
And now we're going to move on to movie 2?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
And just a quick fun fact. So in the first Matrix film, in the first 45 minutes of the film, Neo has 80 lines and 44 of those lines are questions. So just over half of his dialogue is just questions.
And the interesting thing is that he's not asking questions. Sometimes you ask questions for the wrong reason, just for the sake of it. He's actually asking questions to develop himself spiritually, right? To understand the Matrix, this illusion, etc. Right? So that's really interesting. That actually there's nothing wrong with asking questions. Even we've got a course called the Why Guru course, and it's literally why, as in why Guru. But it's not asking it in the way of doubt. It's asking in the way to dispel doubt.
So essentially the first stages of the spiritual journey is going to be to ask questions, right?
Even in Japji Sahib, the first prayer that we have, they have so many questions in that, right? Like, give us a tiyada hoye. How do I become truthful? Give a kude totte pal. How do I remove this veil of illusion, right? And the Guru gives the answer. Hukum rajai challana nanak likhya nal. And there's multiple questions in Guru Granth Sahib Ji and in Japji Sahib. So, there is this conversation takes place in many different scriptures between a Sikh and a Guru. The Sikh asks the question, the Guru gives the answer, because a Sikh is now ready to ask the question. The Guru sees that the Sikh is ready and they're deserving of the answer. So should we start with this next one then?
Yeah.
Hello.
Could have said hi back in it. Rude, did it?
This is quite cool. So at the end of part 1 clips, we saw that Neo finally realized his true self. And because of that, he could see the world as it truly was. He could see all the source code of the Matrix. But now in this case, he's seeing another being who is a realized, enlightened being as well. So it's like all in gold. So I really like the way that they depict all of these concepts in this film.
Definitely.
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
And now he's meeting the Oracle. So that first guy was like the guard for the Oracle.
Hanji.
And like his her sevadar, you could say.
7.
Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way.
You're not human, are you?
Well, it's tough to get any more obvious than that.
If I had to guess, I'd say you're a program from the machine world. So is he.
So far, so good.
But if that's true, that could mean you are part of this system. Another kind of control.
Keep going.
I suppose the most obvious question is, how can I trust you?
Bingo.
He's on fire.
It is a pickle, no doubt about it. Bad news is there's no way if you can really know whether I'm here to help you or not. So it's really up to you. Just have to make up your own damn mind to either accept what I'm going to tell you or reject it.
And I think what's quite cool about this is that I think the initial inspiration they had for this character of the Oracle was like she's like the kind of scriptures, and she gives like the whole the source of knowledge. So she's a source of knowledge for all these like seekers who want to break free from the Matrix. And that's why everyone goes to Morpheus and they always go get advice from her. Even though Morpheus is like the guru, he's the teacher, he still needs a source of knowledge, right? Something what he used to break free from the Matrix.
Yeah.
So that's why they all go to the Oracle.
It's very interesting.
And another interesting thing is he says that you're not a human, right? You're a program. So she's part of the system.
Yeah, but she's a part of the system, but she's realized that but she's detached from it in some sort of way. It kind of feels like.
Yeah.
Like how she acknowledges that, like how we're a part of this whole play, but we've just not acknowledged that we are a part of the play. I think it's like the idea that you acknowledge that you're part of this play, but you're almost separate from it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what she's kind of saying
that's
here,
like
right?
an analogy we come across a lot in Sikhi is about being a lotus flower, which grows in like these dirty swamps and stuff.
Yeah.
So the swamp represents like this world, this maya, this illusion.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, even though the lotus grows in that illusion, in that maya, it stays above it.
It rises above
it. It rises above it, and it flourishes above it, right?
It's detached from it, right?
Exactly, yeah. And then I think further on in the film, we'll learn what her purpose is. So why she's actually like this.
Candy?
You don't want candy?
Know if I'm going to take it?
Wouldn't be much of an oracle if I didn't.
But if you already know, how can I make a choice?
Because you didn't come here to make the choice. You've already made it. You're here to try to understand why you made it.
That is some deep stuff. I wouldn't even know what to say to that.
I thought you'd have figured that out by now.
Why are you here?
Same reason. I love candy.
It's kind of the idea. It comes just very quick because I was thinking in my mind, like, what do you... So we've already made the choice. We've just come here to understand the choice, right? Now, I'm not saying I can give an answer to this, but what kind of comes in my head at this time is just this very simple shabad from Japji Sahib again. We can use Japji Sahib because Japji Sahib is seen as like if you want to understand Guru Granth Sahib Ji, Sikhi, you got to understand Japji Sahib, right?
Yeah.
So if you look in Japji Sahib, Guru Sahib Ji says, Nanak hukm hai je bujje, ta home kehna koi. If one understands the command, what's happening, everything, then they won't speak in ego. But it's not, I don't see it as just speaking in ego, I just reacting in ego or being stuck in ego, right? So if you understand, and that's what she's kind of saying, right, that you've already made the decisions, everything is played out, but it's about understanding it. That's kind of what she's going through my mind. Again, this is just us doing Richard reacting to this.
And I think it goes to the whole debate about, do we have free will or hukam or like determinism, right?
Yeah.
Is there free will or is everything predetermined? And like we can talk about this further because they mention like garam, karma and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, we can touch on it slightly.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've mentioned it earlier in the clips anyway, but I think it's just the understanding that the Guru said to us that you have to understand. When somebody understands, then it makes sense. And that understanding comes through the Guru. And acting upon the Guru's teachings, right? So that's kind of what I just took from this, that the idea of that you've already made the choice or you made the decision. It's now understanding why you've made that. So understanding why we were, because it's quite interesting. I heard this from Gatha once, discourse that, you know, we were a part of the decision to be here, as in to be, you know, to be split from Waheguru, because we were once one with that Waheguru. But now it's about us understanding why that happened and then going back to that one. If we're from that true one, that source, we've just lost the identity of who we truly are. We're like, it's like we're covered in layers. But then eventually through enlightenment, we realize our true self. We realize why this has all happened, basically.
And there's another way to understand the whole free will and hukum is that we come from freedom. So we come from being free, which is one with the source, one with Vaheguru. Then we can't, from that freedom, we get into bondage.
Yeah.
We get into this human body, and then we go back to freedom.
Yeah.
So the Atma returns back into the Vaheguru, into the light.
Interesting.
We're all here to do what we're all here to do. I'm interested in one thing, Neo, the future. And believe me, I know the only way to get there is together.
That's quite clever. And it's quite cool because you can say that relates to Sangat, right?
Sad Sangat,
yeah. Having Sad Sangat together. A lot of people say, oh, you can do everything on your own, right?
Yeah.
But that's not the case. That's not always the case. You do need Sad Sangat. You need that company. And there's like a very famous quote that I read the other day that someone asked, I think it's Buddha, what's more important, the journey or the destination? And he replied that the company.
The company.
So
that's really cool. And another analogy that comes to mind is like a tree that's on the riverbank, right? So that tree on the riverbank can get its water from the river as its source, right? But at the same time, that tree can still gain a lot of dirt on its trunks, on its leaves, and that water from the river cannot clean that, right? The only way to clean that is through the rain. So the river is seen as our own spiritual earnings when we do our own prayers and meditation. But when it comes to the dirt that can be acquired on top of the tree, that could be the dirt of ego that we gain. But actually, you know what? I can do this all on my own. But we can't get rid of that on our own. And that's why we have the rain, which represents holy company, which washes away that ego and that pride that can build on that person as well. So both are needed, right? Like it comes in Gurbani, Satsangata Male, So Tariya. Satsangata Male, So Tariya. That through holy company, one is saved.
Oh, well, not like me, but look, see those birds? At some point, a program was written to govern them. A program was written to watch over the trees and the wind, sunrise and sunset. That program's running all over the place. The ones doing their job, doing what they were meant to do, are invisible. You never even know they were here. But the other ones, well...
Another key thing she said earlier was that everyone's here to do what they need to do, right? Everyone has a purpose, and that comes in Gurbani, that Pei Parapat Manik de Horia, Govind Milan ki ehe teri bariya. That this is your opportunity, this is your chance, and this is your purpose. This human body is being given to you, and this is your chance to meet Govind Milan ki ehe teri bariya. This is your chance to meet that Vaheguru.
And how can that happen? It happens in the next few lines, right? It can only happen through by meeting in holy company as well. So it's about doing it together, right? Of course, we come on our own, we go on our own. We understand that from earlier concepts, but it's through satsang that will go with us, right? That's time we spend there, and that company that is beyond this world.
And I also liked another thing she talked about how the world is programmed in all these different ways. You know, like how the birds are moving, how the sun rises and sets.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's also in this world. We have the similar kind of thing, that Vaheguru's created all these rules for the universe.
Yeah, it comes in Asadivad as well, like Pevich Pavana Vahe Sadava, right? Pevich Chalhe Lak Dariya. Everything is a part of this fear of God, you can say, or it's just all in. It doesn't have to be a scary fear, a loving fear. Everything is a part of that creator, right? So it's you know,
all of these rules have been created for the universe to work, essentially.
Yeah, literally. So interesting.
Hear about them all the time.
I've never heard of them.
Of course you have. Every time you've heard someone say they saw a ghost or an angel. Every story you've ever heard about vampires, werewolves, or aliens is the system assimilating some program that's doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
So that's kind of opposite, I'd say, to like what we'd say. That she's saying like this is against, this is the opposite. But we'd say that's all from that one, right?
Yeah.
So we wouldn't say that like ghosts, because this is like the bad stuff, right? But like in some faiths they kind of balance out the equation by saying that God is good, so devil is bad. But in our case, we don't say that. Even if there was a devil, we say that God made the devil. But I'm not trying to say that now. Like, don't take the wrong end of the stick. I'm not trying to say it is or isn't. But I'm trying to say that it's like people have to like justify the bad in the world by saying that there must be somebody else that's equal to God, i.e. the devil, who's doing the bad stuff.
Programs hacking programs.
You have the sight now, Neo. You are looking at the world without time.
This could be
Why can't I see what happens to her?
We can never see past the choices we don't understand.
Are you saying I have to choose whether Trinity lives or dies?
No. We've already made the choice. Now you have...
That's quite an interesting line she said, that we can't ever see beyond the choices we don't understand.
I just think it links back to the whole Nanak Hukum Je Budje that we said earlier. When you understand the hukum, when you have this, basically when you have the understanding, because she said it's already happened, you've already made the choice. Now, so it's like, again, this is vichar, just a contemplation right now, but it's like, it's almost like everything's already happened and now we're here to understand.
And another key thing she says that you see beyond time. And I think that's another concept. Bajaj Singh, he used to tell it in a really good way. He used to say, if you imagine the dimensions of the universe, the fourth dimension of time, and if you take a step back from it, Vaheguru is beyond that. So they're always seeing everything happen all at once.
Hanji, so like in Japji Sahib, Sabana Likhya Vudi Kalam. So the ever-flowing pen. So we live in time where we are, what's the word? Like we're limited. Our source is limited. Our thoughts are limited to the area that we live in.
To our constraints of the rules of this world.
Yeah, time, surrounding, everything, right? But Vaheguruji is Akal. So Kal means time, death, but God is beyond time, right? So we look at everything linear, in a linear sense, right? From start to end, but God has no start, God has no end, right? So
I like to imagine the scene from Interstellar.
Is that another film?
The space movie. Maybe we can react to that one day. And when he takes us, he sees all of time happening at once. So he gets out of the dimension of time. And that's how I like to imagine it. But another key point you can make is that hukum is happening now. Hukum is always happening. And I remember Bajaj Singh said in one of the talks that if he had a watch of God, it would say now.
That's really cool.
Understand it.
No. I can't do that. I won't.
Well, you have to.
Why?
Because you're the one.
So he kind of has his doubt in it.
What if I can't?
To the truth.
What happens if I fail?
Then Zion will fall.
Then you're aware of it.
It's about sacrifice, isn't it? I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. All right, next scene.
You just want to have people fighting, innit?
What?
Our connection. I don't fully understand how it happened. Perhaps some part of you imprinted onto me, something overwritten or copied. It is at this point irrelevant. What matters is that whatever happened for a reason.
And what reason is that?
I killed you, Mr. Anderson. I watched you die. With a certain satisfaction, I might add. And then something happened. Something that I knew was impossible, but it happened anyway. You destroyed me, Mr. Anderson. Afterward, I knew the rules. I understood what I was supposed to do, but I didn't. I couldn't. I was compelled to stay, compelled to disobey. And now here I stand because of you, Mr. Anderson, because of you. I'm no longer an agent of this system.
He's a good actor,
Because
isn't
of
he?
you, I've changed. I'm unplugged, a new man.
He's not like us
speak,
anymore.
like you, apparently free.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But, as you well know, appearances can be deceiving, which brings me back to the reason why we're here. We're not here because we're free. We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose, because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
It is purpose that created us.
That's very deep in this.
Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides us, that drives us. It is purpose that defines. Purpose that binds us.
We are here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We're here to take from you what you tried to take from us.
So what I find interesting about this scene is, even though Mr. Smith, he breaks away from the Matrix, from the control of the Matrix, he still can't deny his purpose. And his purpose is to destroy Neo, right? So that's so interesting that he'll ignore everything else and just go solely for his purpose. He's so focused single-mindedly on that, right? And on the other end, Neo is the complete opposite. He's become free, and he's all about choice. He's all about I can make my own choices. He always tries to make his own choice, right? If we see that prevalent throughout the whole film, he tries to save Trinity. He tries to do this and that. But on the other hand, Mr. Smith is all about inevitability. He keeps on saying that line. It is inevitable.
I think with Neo, he's trying to understand. Right? He realizes that there's more, but the Mr. Smith, he's stuck in the illusion, and he knows his role, and he's stuck to it. But it's like Neo's trying to go beyond that and realize.
Mr. Smith thinks this is his fate.
Yeah.
So he thinks there is nothing else. This is my fate. This is my purpose, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Neo is the opposite.
And when he's been told his purpose, Neo, it's almost as if he's fighting against that.
Yeah.
Because he's been told that he's got to save Zion, but he wants to save Trinity because of his love for her, right? So it's like he's almost going against that, right? So it's very interesting. Now he's trying to like make him into himself or something, isn't it?
But it doesn't work.
This is one of the best fight scenes.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
The question is...
So essentially, Neo and him, Mr. Smith, are opposites, equal and opposites. And they, you could say, represent like yin and yang.
The question is, do you know why you are here?
We are looking for the keymaker.
Oh yes, it is true. The keymaker, of course. But this is not a reason, this is not a why. The keymaker himself, his very nature is a means, it is not an end. And so, to look for him is to be looking for a means to do what?
You know the answer to that question.
But do you? You think you do, but you do not. You are here because you were sent here. You were told to come here, and then you obeyed. It is, of course, the way of all things. You see, there is only one constant, one universal. It is the only real truth. Causality. Action, reaction. Cause and effect.
Everything begins with choice.
No, wrong. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I really like this scene because it talks about the whole cause and effect, right? And then if you look at Sikhi, a lot of people, you could say that Garam, that karma, is our cause and effect. That whatever action we do, it will cause an effect, and we'll have to. So there is a pankti, ape beej, ape hi khao, that whatever you plant, whatever seeds you plant, you will get the fruits for that, right?
Yep. So wherever you should harvest what you plant.
Yeah. So whatever you plant is what you will get, right? So in the same way, whatever actions you do will have a reaction.
Yeah.
But then in the same way, you could also use it as an argument for hukum. Because you could say that every single reaction we have is based on a previous action. It's based our environment that we were brought up in, what circumstances we are born in, you know, all our friends, all of these things, they're all reactions from previous karams. So you could say all of these things are hukum, essentially, right?
Yeah, and I think that kind of, you know, people ask the question about, you know, what is it then? Was it a first action that we did? You know, like what came first, the chicken and egg kind of thing, innit? And a lot of people get confused over that. How did this all start? And I think one interesting Shabad by Gurdadashi that talks about this is this garden, the Garte Aap Lokaya. That only the reason, garden means the reason, Garte means the doer, why Guruji, Aap Lokaya, only they know, and they have concealed that. They know the reason for why this has all happened, right? So we it's like we don't know what came first, right? Only that reason for everything, only they know, because he's saying there that there's no such thing as choice in it, it's just an illusion, right? But, you know, everything could be illusion, right? The actions that we're doing could be illusion. Hukum can seem like illusion to us because we are stuck in the illusion. We don't know what is right, what is wrong, right?
Hello, Neo.
So this is a famous scene now.
This is the architect, right?
I am the architect. I created the Matrix. I've been waiting for you.
He's like Brahma,
You have many questions,
creator.
and though the process has altered your consciousness, you remain irrevocably human. Ergo, some of my answers you will understand, and some of them you will not. Concordantly, while your first question may be the most pertinent,
you may or may not realize it is also the most irrelevant.
Why am I
Why
here?
am I here?
Your life is the sum of a
This is so
remainder
funny,
of an
right? Because we always ask, why are we here, right? What is the purpose of life? Whenever you go to Q&As, Sikhi Q&As, that's like the first question.
Yeah.
What's the
and a
purpose?
shout out to Share Charity and Paitara Seva Singh, who actually wrote a book called Why Am I Here? And it's actually a really good read. We've got a podcast with Bhai Sabji as well. And you can find the links in the description as well for that book, Why Am I Here? So make sure you guys read that book. It's a really good read as well. I'll plug that as well.
Equation inherent to the programming of the Matrix. You are the eventuality of an anomaly which, despite my sincerest efforts, I have been unable to eliminate from what is otherwise a harmony of mathematical precision. While it remains a burden assiduously avoided, it is not unexpected and thus not beyond a measure of control, which has led you inexorably here.
You haven't answered my question.
Quite right. Interesting. That was quicker than the others.
Others? How many? Others? What? Answer me.
The Matrix is older than you know. I prefer counting from the emergence of one integral anomaly to the emergence of the next, in which case this is the sixth version.
That's quite interesting as well, right?
Yeah. That there's been more than one Matrix. It's like a cycle, right?
So this is what we believe as well, in the cyclical time, not linear time. So we believe in the Char Yugs, the 4 different ages, Sat Yug, Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, and Kal Yug, which we're in right now. And these ages repeat like a cycle. And we don't know how many times we've been through them, right? And it comes in Gurbani.
Bhai Gurdas, he talks about it. Chara Juga Karathapana, Sata Juga Treta, Dwapar Saje, then Chautha Kala Juga Thapya, Chara Varna, Charo Ke Raje. So yeah, talk about the 4 ages, Sata Juga Treta, Dwapar, and Kal Yuga very simply. So it's like a cycle. So it goes from the age of enlightenment to the age of ignorance, which we're in right now, called Kal Yuga. And even more, just kind of elaborating on that as well, like in Sri Sukhmani Sahib, Kei Bar Pasarya Pasar. So many times God has expanded this creation and then brought it back, like the big crunch that they talk about. Kei Bar, many times the Guru has done this, right? So I guess in this movie, they're on number 6.
It's so interesting. We're in so many iterations. We don't know what we're in, which number, but they're in the 5th iteration, the 6th cycle, sorry.
Yeah.
There were 5 ones before me. Either no one told me, or no one knows.
Precisely. As you are undoubtedly gathering, the anomaly is systemic, creating fluctuations in even the most simplistic equations.
Choice. The problem is choice.
The first Matrix I designed was quite naturally perfect. It was a work of art, flawless,
Like you said earlier, right?
sublime, a triumph equaled only by its monumental failure. The inevitability of its doom is apparent to me now as a consequence of the imperfection inherent in every human being. Thus I redesigned it, based on your history, to more accurately reflect the varying grotesqueries of your nature. However, I was again frustrated by failure. I have since come to understand that the answer eluded me because it required a lesser mind, or perhaps a mind less bound by the parameters of perfection. Thus, the answer was stumbled upon by another, an intuitive program, initially created to investigate certain aspects of the human psyche. If I am the father of the Matrix, she would undoubtedly be its mother.
The Oracle.
Please. As I was saying, she stumbled upon a solution whereby nearly 99% of all test subjects accepted the program as long as they were given a choice, even if they were only aware of the choice at a near unconscious level.
That's really interesting as well, right? That even though we're in this Maya, we're given this choice to be in this Maya. So the reason why all of these things, the iterations before failed, is because that choice was taken away, that illusion of choice.
And like that, like us, we have a choice for many lifetimes. We've had a choice, but now in this life that we have right now, we have another choice, and hopefully we can break from this cycle, basically, right? So it's almost as if they failed each time, right? And now he's got another opportunity to actually break that cycle of failing each time. Same like us, we've probably had a human body many times, right? It's just about breaking that, basically.
So the Matrix kept failing until they gave a choice to people. And even though it was unconsciously the choice was given, 99% of the people accepted it. And so the reason that choice had to be given, and the purpose of the oracle, is to give that choice. So she's there to basically destabilize the system. So there always has to be a balance in the system.
Yeah.
And that's what her purpose is. She's there to give that. She's a source of knowledge in order for people to have the choice to break free from the matrix. So it gets a little bit deep, but it's quite interesting when you go into it.
Definitely.
Functioned, it was obviously fundamentally flawed, thus creating the otherwise contradictory systemic anomaly that, if left unchecked, might threaten the system itself.
So the anomaly is near the one, basically.
Those that refuse the program, while a minority, if unchecked, would constitute an escalating probability of disaster.
This is about Zion.
You are here because Zion is about to be destroyed.
So the funny thing is, even though they had to give the choice for the matrix to work, for their whole illusion to work, so that they can keep on harvesting the humans, the energy from the humans, the people that accepted the choice and took that choice to break free from the matrix, as they started to increase, it created a problem for the machines in the real world. So the machines in the real world, it increased the probability that they would get destroyed by the humans. So what essentially happens is, he'll explain it next.
Living inhabitant terminated, its entire existence eradicated. Denial is the most predictable of all human responses. But rest assured, this will be the 6th time we have destroyed it, and we have become exceedingly efficient at it.
So it's quite evil, these machines. They have to keep on destroying all the humans and resetting this whole cycle. So even they know that it's not perfect, but that humans need to have this choice. But at the same time, they need to keep on resetting it by destroying all the humans in the real world.
That's crazy.
Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the One. While the others experienced this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific, vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Apropos, she entered the Matrix to save your life at the cost of her own.
No.
Which brings us at last to the moment of truth, wherein the fundamental flaw is ultimately expressed and the anomaly revealed as both beginning and end. There are 2 doors. The door to your right leads to the source and the salvation of Zion. The door to your left leads back to the Matrix, to her, and to the end of your species. As you adequately put, the problem is choice. But we already know what you are going to do, don't we? Already I can see the chain reaction, the chemical precursors that signal the onset of an emotion designed specifically to overwhelm logic and reason. An emotion that is already blinding you from the simple and obvious truth. She is going to die, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
That's what you think.
Hope. It is the quintessential human delusion, simultaneously the source of your greatest strength and your greatest weakness.
If I were you, I would hope that we don't meet again.
This is quite cool because it talks about how someone, if they was completely logical, like a human, like a machine, they wouldn't understand all of these things as hope, faith, love, right? So you can't always connect to the source. You can't always connect to Vaheguru just by having logic. And that sometimes you need to have love. Sometimes you need to have faith.
Definitely need to have those things in it. Like just quickly, "E mana chanchala, chaturai kinda na paya." That for cleverness, nobody's ever found the Lord. Vaheguruji, right? So yeah, definitely. End of movie 2.
End of part 2.
There we go. So that's 2 down, and we've got the 3rd one to go now, the last movie.
Okay, so moving on to part 3. This is the 3rd film now.
Yep.
So let's jump straight into it.
I know you.
Yes, in the restaurant of the Frenchman. I am Ramakandra. This is my wife Kamala, my daughter Sati. We are most honored to meet you.
Your programs.
Oh, yes. I am the power plant systems manager for recycling operations. My wife is an interactive software programmer. She is highly creative. This place is nowhere.
This is crazy.
It is between your world and our world.
So to just give some context, Neo basically, at the end of the last film, they're about to get attacked by the machines in the real world, and Neo uses his powers to basically stop the machine in the real world. But he wasn't ready for that yet, and so it knocks him out. It knocks him unconscious, and he wakes up in this place which is in between the machine world and in between the human world.
Interesting.
Something from our world into your world that does not belong there, you must go to the Frenchman.
Is that what you're doing here?
The answer is simple. I love my daughter very much. I find her to be the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. But where we are from, that is not enough. Every program that is created must have a purpose. If it does not, it is deleted. I went to the Frenchman to save my daughter. You do not understand.
I just have never
heard a program speak of love.
It is a human emotion.
No, it is a word. What matters is the connection the word implies. I see that you are in love. Can you tell me what you would give to hold on to that connection?
Anything.
Then perhaps the reason you are here is not so different than the reason I am here.
That's really cool. Only somebody who's experienced it can empathize or know if somebody else experienced it, right? So only the one that knows.
And it's quite cool the way that he said that you're programmed, but you still experience this connection, this love, right? That means that transcends all these...
what we think who can feel love. It sounds a bit silly, but we could just say like, maybe as humans we think that only we experience love, but who knows what beings out there, whether that's animals, plants, trees, or whoever it is, they can all feel love as well, right?
Yeah.
But we kind of just limit it to ourselves.
You know the Oracle.
Everyone knows the Oracle. I consulted with her before I met with the Frenchman. She promised she would look after Sati after we said goodbye.
Goodbye? You're not staying with her?
It is not possible. Her arrangement with the Frenchman was for our daughter only. My wife and I must return to our world.
Why?
That is our karma.
You believe in karma?
Karma is a word, like love. A way of saying what I am here to do. I do not resent my karma. I am grateful for it. Grateful for my wonderful wife, for my beautiful daughter.
That's really cool.
That's quite interesting.
Especially when he says, I don't resent my karma. So it's like he's gone beyond this idea of good and bad. Karma is just a word. It's just your actions. It's the reason why you are here. It's why you do what you do and what you've done to get you to where you are right now. And he says, I don't resent my karma. And that's very interesting because if you look in Gurbani, Guru says, Dadde dos na deo kise. Dos karama apanea. They say, don't blame anyone else, blame instead your own actions. Now, we don't have to use the word blame in a negative way. Just understand that actually, whatever's happening is because of our karma. Right? And then they say, Jo main kiya, so main paya, dos na dije abrajana. That is acceptance. That actually, this is karma. This is my life. This is what I'm living. Don't resent that, like he's saying, right? And that's very similar to what Guru Sahib says in Gurbani to us as well. I think it's Bhagata Di Bani. Or it's actually Guru Nanak Ji Patti Likhi, where they say this.
Why didn't you tell me about the architect?
Next clip.
Why didn't you tell me about Zion and the ones before me? Why didn't you tell me the truth?
Why? It's not
Because
why.
it wasn't time for you to know.
They changed the oracle as well.
Wasn't time.
You know who.
So that goes back to the start of the film, innit? The know thyself, innit? That you've already made the decisions. You just need to learn to understand them now, innit? So
Then I think it's time for me to know a few more things.
when he asked why, innit? But he at that time, he wasn't ready to know why, innit? But now it sounds like he's ready because he's going to ask us some questions.
Tell me how I separated my mind from my body without jacking in. Tell me how I stopped 4 sentinels by thinking it. Tell me just what the hell is happening to me.
The power of the One extends beyond this world. It reaches from here all the way back to where it came from.
Where?
The source. That's what you felt when you touched those sentinels, but you weren't ready for it.
This is what we talked about earlier, right? About when he was, what did he do at the start?
He stopped the machines at the end of the last film.
Yeah. and then he passed out from that, right? And that's when he went into that dream state where he met those people, those Indian people.
Yeah, this is quite cool because she says that the power of the one extends beyond this world.
Yeah.
So in the same way that the power of Vaheguru extends beyond everything, right? That Atma is in everything. And that once we realize that, you transcend all dimensions, all worlds, Patala, Lak, Agas, Agas, right? So many different dimensions and planets, but the power of the one is beyond all of those things, but it's still within that as well.
Anji, just the Shabad as well there. Anji, carry on.
Apparently you weren't ready for that either.
The architect told me that if I didn't return to the source, Zion would be destroyed by midnight tonight.
Please. You and I may not be able to see beyond our own choices, but that man can't see past any choice.
Why not?
He doesn't understand them. He can't. To him, they are variables in an equation. One at a time, each variable must be solved and counted. That's his purpose, to balance the equation.
What's your purpose?
To unbalance it.
This is quite cool, isn't it? Because
opposites.
I remember in Gurbani as well, there's many examples of how when the Devte, they're like demigods, the divine beings, they got like hankar.
They just got very proud and they were full of ego.
They got full of pride and ego. And then Vaheguru sent down the Rakesh,
the demons.
so the demons, in order to destroy that hankar.
Break their hankar, break their pride,
To break that hankar. So then there's always that balance in the universe of good and evil, of yin and yang. So in the same way, she's here to unbalance the matrix, and the architect, who's like Brahma in this sense, he's there to balance it, to do all the like maths and stuff.
I think her earrings represent yin and yang, right? You're saying before to me?
As a beginning, as an end. I see the end coming.
So that's quite cool as well. She said everything that has a beginning has an end, right?
Yeah.
That's what we learn as well, that all of this Maya is all temporary. Everything that begins, ends. The only thing that doesn't is the truth, the ultimate truth, which is Vaheguru.
Anji, so jo upajo so binase, where was me creator will be destroyed. So for that reason, sing the praise of God. That's going to free us from all these entanglements.
It ends tonight.
Next clip.
I know it does.
The final fight scene now
Seen
of the trilogy.
That's why the rest of me is just going to enjoy the show. Because we already know that
So negative and positive balancing each other out.
Essentially, yeah.
This is a really cool fight scene.
Bit of a Bollywood there. Slow motion.
Yeah, but this looks more real than Bollywood, though, isn't it? They're just over the top.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially the sound effects. The Mr. Smith has gone very strong, isn't it? As well, before we knew he still was beard.
Because now he's taken over the whole of the Matrix.
Okay.
So I remember reading a cool thing that Mr. Smith, he becomes all powerful in the Matrix, in the simulation. He controls everything. But then in the real world, Neo becomes all powerful. And he starts to be able to control the machines in real life. That's why he can like destroy all the machines in the city. And when he goes above to the machine, to the source, right?
Which he's already done in this film, right?
Which he's done, and now he's connected to the source, and he's fighting Mr. Smith.
Okay.
Superman punch. Become like a demigod, didn't it?
It's become very powerful.
Why?
Just to give some context to this. So at this point, Neo has made a deal with the machines because Mr. Smith has become so powerful, he's taken over the Matrix. And so the Neo says to the machines is, if I defeat him for you, then you have to have peace with the humans in Zion. So then the machines make this deal, in the machine main city.
Yeah.
They make this deal that, okay, fine, if you defeat Mr. Smith, we won't kill all the humans in Zion. So then at that point, they plug, the machines plug Neo into the Matrix, but from the source. And so now he's fighting Mr. Smith from the source.
So Mr. Smith was a part of the machine world, isn't it? And he's gone above it. And now he's trying to destroy the machine world as well.
Now he's trying to take over everything, basically.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting? You believe you're fighting for something, for more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying
So he can't see beyond that, innit? Mr. Smith, innit?
that is without meaning or
He doesn't
purpose.
understand.
And all of them as artificial as the Matrix itself. Although only a human mind could invent something as insipid as love. You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist?
Because I choose to.
Choice.
That's like the essence of this film, isn't it? It's choice, isn't it?
It's all about choice and fate and stuff. I really like the scene as well because you can relate it to when people say, what's the point if we know this whole world is fake, if you know everything's temporary, an illusion, what's the point of us doing anything, right? What's the point of us living and doing or like say or anything positive?
Yeah.
And then Neo says it's choice. And essentially that's true. It's our duty to do these things, right? We have to make the conscious effort first.
Yeah.
To do these things, and then eventually once we do them, we become, it goes back to that thing, once you do the things, you become connected to Vaheguru. You realize it was all hukum in the first place. It was all essentially your fate.
Choice, key word from this film.
What are you afraid of?
It's a trick.
You were right, Smith. You're always right. It was inevitable.
Basically turning into his own film.
Yeah, he's taken over.
Is it over?
It was a trap.
Why was it a trap? What happened?
So essentially, what happened is when in the early eclipse, he explained that once Neo killed him for the first time, he broke free from the Matrix, and either programs go back to the source, to the machine mainframe where Neo is right now, and they get deleted, or they try and hide in the Matrix. But what Mr. Smith did is he tried to take over the Matrix.
Yeah.
And then the only way the machines can delete him is if he returns back to the source. And so what happened is once he copied his form onto Neo, his form became connected to the source again.
Yeah.
Because Neo is at the source, right? He's connected into the main machines. And so once that happened, it was a trick, and the machines were able to delete Mr. Smith.
Oh, that's really clever, man.
But then there's multiple layers to this because Mr. Smith and Neo represent opposite philosophy, opposite ideology, you know?
Yeah.
One is about free will, the other one's about hukum. And then once they got into one entity, into one form, it couldn't coexist together.
Yeah.
And so it basically destroyed. So it's quite
wiped
clever.
out Mr. Smith, basically.
So that basically the equation balanced. So they were opposites. So Neo realized the only way to defeat Mr. Smith was to let him overcome himself. So once that happened, the Matrix automatically balanced. So there's many different layers to this, right?
Yeah, that sounds very deep, man. This film's got a lot of deep concepts in it. normal.
No, it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It's not fair because he couldn't understand, right? He couldn't see beyond the choices. He couldn't understand. So now he's realized that it's not fair because this is inevitability, that once he becomes connected to the source, once he destroys Neo, his purpose is gone. Because his purpose was to destroy Neo. But once he fulfilled that purpose, what happens? He's purposeless. So he becomes the very thing he set out to destroy.
That's so deep, man. You smashed it, man. Where you get this stuff from, man?
This is all like internet comments.
That's really good, man. Really good deep concepts, bro. Yep, and now he's gonna go.
So now all the Smiths are deleted. And essentially the Matrix resets. Quite a nice ending, eh?
Yeah, very nice
And
ending.
now we're coming to the final scenes.
Well, now, ain't this a surprise?
You played a very dangerous game.
Change always is.
Just how long do you think this peace is going to last?
As long as it can. What about the others?
What others?
The ones that want out.
Obviously, they will be freed.
I have your word.
What do you think I am? Human?
I always like the scene when he says that.
What do you think it means?
He's saying like humans obviously they make mistakes and stuff, right? But he's meant to be like the perfect like computer algorithm, right? So everything he does is meant to be perfect. But then it's so funny because all of his things that he's made in the Matrix, it's full of anomalies, and the main anomaly being Neo.
Yeah.
Final scene.
Did you always know?
Oh, no. No, I didn't. But I believed.
I think that's what separates us, in it, that choice and that belief in it, and the hope that they talked about earlier that Mr. Smith couldn't understand as well.
It's quite a nice thing to end on, I think.
Definitely.
Having Shraddha is such a key thing, having that faith, that belief. That's the only way you're going to...
And that leads to experience, right? Without having that faith, we're never going to experience because we're never going to try.
And even when you can't comprehend or understand why, sometimes by just having belief, eventually you will get to the stage where you understand. But it might just take a bit of faith at the start, right?
Yeah, it's that yearning, right? He had that yearning, and then he had the opportunity where he met Morpheus, the computer scene right at the start, which we talked about, and then the pill, and he took that faith, that leap of faith.
He didn't know what the pill would do, right?
Yeah.
He didn't know if it could poison him and kill him, but he had to take that. He had to take that faith to take the pill and then see what would happen.
And even that leap of faith when he fell off the building.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you might get it the first time, but the point is that he had to fail the first time, right? So a lot of deep concepts in this film, and I think the key things that stand out to me, I think the first one is choice, which you kind of highlight, and that kind of makes us different. And I think the key thing also is that not doing the same thing again and again that leads to the same result. I think that's that saying, but that's insanity, right? Doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Right, so I think that's the key thing that stood out for me. They should have just called this film Choice. I think that'd be a good name. So is this the last scene then? Is it finished off here?
Yeah, this is a nice ending scene.
Well, that brings us to the end of this reaction video. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching it to this point. We went through 3 films, a lot of information, a lot of scenes. We probably made a lot of mistakes. Again, this is just our interpretation. Doesn't mean that we are correct. We're just basing upon what we are seeing. But what we'd recommend to you guys that when you watch a movie, again, we're not here to promote you have to watch movies or you shouldn't watch movies. It's just the point is that a lot of us do watch movies, right? So maybe watch movies that have a bit more of a purpose to them and something that we can, do a bit of each other and we can contemplate and think, actually, what are the deeper messages here? and how can we apply them into our lives as well.
And if there's anything we missed or any concepts you want to discuss, feel free to put it in the comments below.
Definitely. And again, thank you so much. And let us know any other movies or videos that you want us to react to in the comment section. And thank you so much. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.